On the latest episode of our MLCSU podcast, I'm Stephen Birch from the Communications and Media team. I'm here today at the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre team to find out more about their work. I'll just start off by going around the table so you can introduce yourselves and the listeners can know your voices.
Hello there, my name is Beth Grant. I'm an ICS support manager. I manage the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre team.
Hello, my name's Chris Pyle. I'm one of the System Flow Advisors for the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre.
Hi, I'm John Mitchell. I'm a System Flow Advisor working for the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre.
So first of all, can you tell me about your team, how you work and who you work with?
So the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre provides an overall helicopter view of all the services within the Birmingham and Solihull area, gathering soft intelligence of the current pressures as well as key points that require potentially further intervention and escalating it to the appropriate areas, whilst also providing trend analysis and data analysis.
How do you get that insight? Where does that come from?
That insight comes from several different sources. I mean, it covers all different communications, such as email, verbal conversations over the phone, attendance during system calls, even attending meetings with ICPs or other teams as well. Any kind of intelligence that we feel is of benefit and of note for the wider team to be aware of, we communicate that out.
How unique is your service? Are the pockets of your service being delivered in other areas of the country, or to your knowledge are you one of few?
Well, actually, UCIC's unique in this respect. There isn't anything else that's replicated anywhere else other than if you look at the SCCs, the ICBs, essentially that's what UCIC started out as. They don't fulfil all of the remit of an SCC, but the 6 members of staff that work in the team work very diligently to provide a very high-level service to ICBs and counterparts to give that overall assurance across the board for patient-focused care, really, and safety.
How do you measure your success as a team?
Daily feedback and regular conversations between the urgent emergency care within Birmingham and Solihull ICB, regular conversations to the level of reporting that we have, ensuring accuracy is paramount more than anything, but also collaboration on development as well. So far, touch wood, he says, we haven't had any negative feedback. But yeah, we wouldn't have worked as long as we have if we haven't been providing a good service so far. Not that I sound like I'm blowing our trumpet a little bit. But.
No, I think that's fine, Johnny. I mean, from a management perspective, you obviously have the monthly feedback sessions from the ICB, and they are very, very vocal in that the support you provide to them each day is very, very valued. I think they particularly focus on the handover that the team do for the overnight stint. So when it comes to 2200, the on-call director takes over, and the UCIC team provide a very thorough insight into the high impact for that day and any issues that they may occur during the evening. So they're forewarned of that and pre-armed.
How important is it to be able to apply that localised, specific knowledge to the data to understand what it means and maybe even be able to predict trends and see patterns?
It's very important, actually. Sorry, I'll let you jump in a minute. I was just going to say, from a managerial perspective, what the team do is really a complete wraparound service. So they have the data, they're able to explain the data to any member of staff that may want to ask. They often receive phone calls through queries, which they're all very competent to answer. And then in terms of having that local knowledge, that's something that most electronic systems standalone can't give you. So they provide that wraparound service to give that local intelligence. They might, for example, see that one of the hospitals in the centre of Birmingham is almost at capacity and they've got ambulances queuing, so they may then have a conversation with the site team at a neighbouring area to see if there's any chance of moving the ambulances across border. So they have that knowledge, which something like some of the other two-dimensional services, if you will, the online services, wouldn't have that human element, which is unique to UCIC.
And just to add to Beth's point, over the years we've actually recruited staff from multitudes of different backgrounds, and they bring with them their insights from their backgrounds as well. I mean, I believe, Chris, you've got a nursing as well as community background, haven't
That's
you?
correct, yes.
Yeah. And myself, I was previously a bed manager working in an acute hospital, so I myself had the intimate knowledge of the daily flow of the patient through a hospital. So all of us cumulatively together have combined our expertise and expanded and evolved the service to provide as much intelligence and support that we can towards the decision makers as well as the people on the front line as well.
I don't know if you get a chance to talk to frontline staff in that way in this role, but obviously if you have friends or former colleagues who you used to work with in those roles, what do they think about what you do now?
I find it very interesting, really, because it's more of an admin role now that I'm doing. It's not a clinical role. There's a lot of data, a lot of analysis, report writing, and sort of all of those things are alien to nurses as such. But I've found it really interesting and has developed new skills for me. So it's a really interesting job.
How proud does it make you to be doing what you're doing and knowing the difference that you're making every day?
I have to say, I think every single member of staff, we wouldn't do this job if we didn't love the NHS, because every single member of staff does nothing but give their 110% on a daily basis, because we care about the providers, we care for the staff that we speak to, we understand and we empathise with the people that we speak to over the phone. Sometimes you can just speak into a member of staff who is dealing with a high degree of pressure that even just for a moment, just stopping to have a conversation with them and tell them that it's going to be okay and just empathise with them can make the difference. It's so vitally important to support each other, and that's one of our big focuses within the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre is to sound a bit preachy, it is sharing the love, because you share the burden, it's a lesser burden to everybody else. I mean, I don't know if anybody else thinks differently.
I think what you said is right, because at the end of the day, when they are feeling pressured, we are the friendly voice on the phone that says, how are you? And that means a lot to somebody who's going through, sort of extreme pressure in their day-to-day role. Sort of we'll have a chat about other things rather than work and things like that, just to make them feel a little bit more relaxed, and then we'll get down to the business of actually what is happening in your acute hospital that day, and then we'll get the story and be able to report it accurately.
Thank you, Chris. I was just going to add to that. I think it's probably worth celebrating the fact that the team have a unique relationship with the acutes and the ambulance service, in that we need to remember that we are part of the NHS working for the NHS. We're not holding them to account in any way, so we're like a critical friend to them, and that's certainly how the acute site managers see the UCIC team. They very much value that friendship, that relationship, and as Chris says, when soft conversations are required, they have that, but there's also obviously the capacity to maintain the professionalism between organisations, and that's extremely valuable.
What do you think the future holds for your team?
From what I can see, I believe there is a lot of raw potential for the Urgent Care Intelligence Centre, and the ability to provide the same kind of support for other regions across the West Midlands, as well as Lancashire and South Cumbria, supporting system control centres there, with the ability to monitor, surveil, escalate where concerns lie, but also giving that degree of support and backup facility for all providers across the local health economy.
I think if UCIC was replicated in other areas, it would really add value to the ICBs. I think Birmingham and Solihull are very fortunate to have our facility working with them, because we provide a unique service to them, sort of 365 days a year. So if they could replicate that elsewhere, then obviously it would add value.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thanks, Johnny. I suppose that if we were able to duplicate UCIC amongst other geographical areas, obviously the team would need to grow and the knowledge base would need to be there. So there is potential to grow and expand, but to have oversight of a wider area of geography and pressures would be really beneficial in terms of some of those conversations that we have with the ICB and the acutes and WMAS, in that not only would you be able to talk about, for example, Beasel at the moment, you have quite good close working relationships with the Black Country, but then you might be able to move further afield, such as Hereford, as you move further west. And it's just having that kind of helicopter view, really, of where the pressures are and what the actual solutions could be, really. And I think UCIC are really instrumental in providing those links in the chain for the services out there.
If anybody listening to this wants to find out more about your team, or maybe speak to you about some of the stuff you just talked about expanding, how can they find out more about you, what you do?
If they want to have a conversation with one of the team, that's probably the best bet to start with. And they can always email. That's probably the easiest way, because the guys with here work shifts, so one person isn't on 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So if people want to email in, so the email address is ucic@nhs.net. So it's Uniform Charlie, Indigo Charlie @nhs.net. And that's the way they can make communication directly with the System Flow Advisor. And also I can be contacted via that route as well. And any member of the team will be more than happy to take any questions and explain what we do.
If you would like to know more about Midlands and Lancashire Commissioning Support Unit, go to our website mlcsu.co.uk.